What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to rant a little bit. Borderlands 4, Randy Pitchford. You may or may not have seen this stuff online. It's something that, look, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. The internet has a way of demonizing people for not the biggest things of all time, so, you take things with a grain of salt. Randy Pitchford is definitely, and I will use this word very carefully, an interesting man, okay? You can look into his background with what he does with thumb drives and all sorts of other stuff, okay? This is a guy who finds himself as CEO. This is not a guy that's like an entry-level position, but this is a person that has opened his mouth before. He's done some very stupid things before, just to put it bluntly, okay? To, all joking aside, it's a guy I want to, give the benefit of the doubt to and say, he does come across as kind of just like a bro. You watch some of these Borderlands trailers, and I mean, do I doubt his passion? Not really. I do think he has passion, he has care, but he finds himself in a very high position, and I feel like he can't help himself sometimes, and he really should just, deactivate certain, social media sites and all that jazz. So, well, what am I talking about? Well, this is a pretty big thing as of today. The quote, "If you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen." Now, you could say, okay, well, what's the full context? Well, let's give you the full context. So there was this Twitter user here that I think this is very respectful. Randy, this game better not be $80. Don't take that risk. A lot of gamers aren't going to pay $80 and feed this notion of a constant increase of the price tag. You are the CEO. You have some say with the price when it comes to your publisher, okay? It's definitely he's putting himself out there, he's talking to Randy and he's making a declaration, but it's nothing crazy. This is not an insult. This is not an attack. This is something where I feel like this person would, be very, very happy with a similarly respectful comment back, okay? To be quite honest with you. Now, again, the guy who can't keep his mouth shut on social media says, A, not my call, and B, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. My local game store had Starflight for Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991 when I was just out of high school working minimum wage at an ice cream parlor in Pismo Beach, and I found a way to make it happen. I mean, come on. You just have to know, I feel, right, when to not say something like that, right? So let's actually kind of break it down because technically there's two parts, right? Part A is not really all that long. I don't know if I believe him. I also, I guess, would say I don't know if I don't believe him, right? He is CEO, but he's under an umbrella. And I always talk, there's no transparency, right? The gaming industry has no freaking transparency. You don't really know who makes these decisions on a lot of things. When there's microtransactions jammed down your throat in X game, who makes that call? Sometimes it could be the developer. We learned with, say, Suicide Squad with Rocksteady that it was actually the co-founders there that bailed, right, last second. They're the ones who wanted to do the live service. Yet again, we had heard previously that WB was kind of inadvertently pushing but not pushing the idea of live service, right? So it's the parent company wanted it, but they ultimately decided, but did they have any influence from the company? Who made that call? Nobody likes to own up to their mistakes in the gaming industry. And so you're normally just in a spot where you don't know who to blame, right? I think that's done purposely. So not my call. I mean, I actually would say I kind of lean more towards believing him. I definitely don't think he is the sole person that decides the price of the freaking game. That's definitely above him. But does he have a little say? Could he really, really push back? I'm sure he could. Would it matter? Probably not. But see, that's something that you take an easy layup, right? That's an easy one where instead of saying, A, not my call, just add to it. You say, hey, it's not really up to me, but I'm going to do everything possible to say, hey, let's keep it at 70 or below. How hard is that? Because you can still say it's not your call and then add the rest of it. It's really not difficult, okay? Now, what also is not difficult is not even saying the B part, in general. Just don't even say that part. So, again, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. How disconnected. This is an example, okay, of a person who's not connected. This is an example of a person who is so freaking disconnected. And I know, there's the rich, poor kind of thing going on. I mean, I'm not going to label people with money, not money, whatever, but this is a guy who I do think has a lot of money, and this is a guy that I just don't think understands the day-to-day of the average Joe. I don't care if you're middle class, lower middle class, whatever, right? This is a guy who doesn't understand you. No matter what class you're freaking in, he doesn't get it. If you're you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. That's very ambiguous, because if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. You could be promoting sailing the seven seas. You could be honestly, you could be promoting, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. Well, doesn't that mean you could wait like 3 years till the game drops to $20 and just buy it then? You're making it happen, and you're a real fan. You're just not buying. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to look at it so seriously, right? You don't have to really read it exactly as it is. He opens himself up to that kind of stuff, but he also just opens himself up to the massive freaking disconnect. Now, I've said before, and here's the thing. Okay, here's where maybe it's even a controversial thing from my point of view. You guys can definitely let me know what you think in the comments. I've said 1,000 times, and I think as the prices continue to go up, I'll continue to say it, and we'll see what people think of it. Games have limits and worth to each individual person, okay? And you are that individual person. So X game might be worth 50 to you, but it might be worth 100 to me, right? And I mean, that's a real thing. Like, think of your favorite games of all time. Can you put a price on it? Some people actually might say no, but other people would say, okay, well, yeah, I can put a price to it, but what's the price? Is it 150? Like, what would I pay to do Kingdom Hearts 2 for the first time again? Like, one of my favorites. Like, think about it, you know what I mean? And I mean, that's just my own kind of personal, viewpoint on life. Like, everybody's got their own worth. Like, if you're that much of a fan, is $80 that much to you? The answer could be no, that it's not too much. But again, that's not how you say it. I mean, if you're gonna open your mouth and you're gonna send this tweet, again, just edit it a little bit, right? Where it's like, I mean, I don't even know if I would say that line, but I saw a couple of other people say this, like, I think he should focus more on why it would be $80 in a positive way. You could say there is no positive way, right? You could say, well, if it's $80, it's immediate turnoff, and that's cool. But okay, from him, CEO, he might not be the one making that choice, right? Well, he could say, all right, well, let me tell you, the question or the direct statement towards him was, this game better not be $80. Now, maybe he read that aggressively, right? And you can, I mean, honestly, you can. But okay, well, what's the response? The response, if it is 80, which by the way, it's definitely 80, right? I mean, I don't know if it's confirmed, but I feel like it has to be at this point. Okay, well, what's the response? The response should be, man, like, it's not my call, and I'll do my best to try to get it at 70, but I'm not making promises. Here's why it is worth 80, though. Like, if it does come out and it's $80, I get it. That's a high price. Let me tell you why it's worth the $80, and then go off, right? Here's all the great things. Here's the reason I believe this game is worth 80. He's a salesman. You know what I mean? He's CEO of the freaking company, and I don't actually doubt his passion. I really believe he cares. The talent of like what's happened there, specifically the writing department. It's gone definitely down, I would say, just overall. But okay, you can still have passion. You could still be into it. Sell it to us. Sell it. Why is it $80? The way you don't sell something going up, right? It was 70, now it's 80, and people are saying, well, why is it 80? Or like, how could you let it be 80? Your response should not be, get over it and make it work, right? Like, if you really want to stick with us, you'll make the $10 jump work. The response should be, why is it worth that $10 jump? And honestly, okay, the rich, poor, middle class, that whole thing I was saying a couple minutes ago, I don't even think that's the main part. I think what I just said is the main disconnect part. That's the disconnect, because I mean, literally, like, the definition of a word, disconnect, right? Like, he's going one way, but I think the right way to do it is not to get aggressive about it, not to assume that if you're really passionate, you'll just follow along, right, just blindly. By the way, we're not even talking about, like, is it actually worth 80? But actually we are, because he should sell it as that, right? Here's why it's worth 80, but I get it if that's too much. That's it. You're respectful. You kind of appease both sides. You can still get people excited. In fact, you might get people more excited. Maybe you, like, give a new piece of info on Borderlands, like, whatever, right? Like, you just give a little bit of info or something. That's how you respond. This way comes off very disconnected. This way comes off as definitely more aggressive. Like, even if you read the comment to him as aggressive, he comes off way more aggressive. I don't know. No, the internet is a weird place. The internet, I feel, is full of, like, posers that say things and don't actually mean it. And it's also not a good representation of, like, the entire world, right? Hopefully we can agree on at least some of those things. I've seen a lot of people turn. I've seen a lot of comments that said, I was going to get it, now I'm not. I mean, I believe certain people. I think some people do it for like theatrics. But we'll see. Like, I wonder how damning, because I feel like he's done worse. By the way, this is a guy with an interesting past. I feel like he's done worse that would drive people away. You know, sometimes people make a statement and say, all right, that was enough, right? That statement, I'm not going to support it anymore. Some people, that's not far enough, whatever. And again, like, I think he's done worse stuff than this. This is just a sense of like being disconnected and just being rude, right? Like just not reading the room correctly. We'll see if this actually has an impact. It looks like it does on social media, but that does not mean that it's actually going to affect Borderlands 4. We'll see if it does. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.